Sono Simone Inzaghi e oggi comincia la mia storia.
And I think final on my list on managers who might lose their jobs, Jose Mourinho. Why not include him in this video? Because he will be subject to scrutiny come next season by Fenerbahce. If he doesn't deliver, they will have him sacked. He's gone from the special one to the crying one in the Turkish league, and I feel bad for him knowing what a legend he is. We like it, my job at the end of the season is something that's always on a manager's mind. You play probably 60 games in a season, but the one thing that haunts you is, if I have a disastrous season, will I make it through the off season, which is basically right now after the season is over, and will I be still in my job? This is the case of most managers. Take a look at Postecoglou. Having gotten Tottenham their first trophy in 17 years, has been sacked. On the other side, Simone Inzaghi, even though his team put up the worst performance that has been there in the UCL in recent history, and having taken Inter Milan to the final for 2 times, he's been sacked. Today we look at which other managers are nearly going to face the sack, who will face the sack mid-season next season, and who will not make it throughout the season, and who will not make it throughout maybe the Club World Cup and through the off-season, which is now. Let's get in. So we have in the EPL, Postecoglou has just faced the Ajax. He did his best on the European side, and I feel for him for having delivered a trophy. He said he will deliver a trophy in his second season, of which he eventually did. But then there's this one thing that the chairman was looking for: Premier League progression. Tottenham was 17th in the league, which is an abysmal performance. I haven't seen 2 teams in the top 6 perform this poorly. I'll cover the next team next shortly. But then you ask yourself, was it justified to sack him, or was it justified for the chairman and the board to back him up, to give him the players that he needs so that he can push in the Premier League come next season? Second on the list, we have Ruben Amorim. Will he survive at Manchester United? Well, they were patient with him. They have seen the team perform the worst in a long while. I think the worst they performed this way was in the 1970s. And then you have Ruben Amorim now bolstering his squad, getting the players that he needs. He is going to ship some out. But the big question remains, well, yes, we've given you everything. We've given you the time from last season. I think he's been in since December, and it was abysmal to see that he only added 12 points to the 30 that he inherited from Erik ten Hag in December. I think for me, Ruben Amorim is high on the list for not retaining his job. I stand by this. It's my own opinion, but then I would like to hear from you fans in the comments. Which manager do you think will not survive? Kindly get chatting on the comment section. But then you ask yourself, after Ruben Amorim, who's next? In my opinion, if we happen to see Nottingham have a slump, Nuno Espirito Santo will be next. Towards the tail end of last season, the owner of Nottingham got on the pitch and confronted him. And I think it's out of sheer anger, having seen his team face a slump from near second to Arsenal. They were just marginally points away from being second in the league, to falling just short of European qualification. This, to me, makes him a contender, a third in the list to lose his job if Nottingham don't do well, be it in the European front, be it in the Premier League front. I don't think Nottingham will keep him still on the job. Next on the list for me will be an interesting one, albeit him being in his phase 6 come next season, Mikel Arteta. He has been switching from a tactical genius, of which I will say I envied Arsenal, how they would create passing patterns, how they will play in triangles, how they'd run drills around you in the pitch. And he's slowly turning away from being a tactical genius to being a physical coach. If you're 6 foot, now he's bringing you in. And if you look at the average height in the Arsenal squad, it's about 6'1", which begs the question, is he going for a Burnley-esque Sondage type of thing? Because what is he looking for in these tall giants? He's looking to capitalize on dead balls, capitalize on counter-attacks for the defense. I don't think them bringing in Benjamin Sesko kind of reinforces what that Arteta is going back to his tactical genius days. If anything, he's just thumping and stamping on the fact that he wants to be a physical coach in terms of, at times, if it's hard for us, let's launch the ball. So if things don't go well for Arteta this season, for me, he's so likely to lose his job, because the fans have been patient to the project, the management will have been patient to the project, and if they don't see results this season, and if they don't get to a final this season, then there will be big questions asked. Question marks will arise of what project is happening for Arsenal, because if we are to believe in a project, we need to see results, and results count to being a final. Last on my list in the EPL front will be Enzo Maresca. If Enzo doesn't perform well next season, I think fans will be calling for his blood. I think the management will not be so happy if we perform poorly. Now that we're in the Champions League, and now that the squad will need heavy rotation, will everybody be able to play their part? We saw disconnections this season in Chelsea's squad. If you were brought in and you were not a regular, you were not playing so much, which makes me think, if the squad is stretched thin, starting in the next few days when Chelsea play Club World Cup, it will be tough for Enzo Maresca to keep his job, because even though he will get his targets for the window to supplement the players who are outside injured, I think then there will be a big issue as to how Chelsea perform going forward. Moving on along to Serie A, I think, well, with Inzaghi gone, I had a pretty good feeling that he will go after the 5-0 thrashing by PSG. But an interesting candidate would be Thiago Motta at Juventus. He will get a sack. 5th place is not what Juventus want to play in the Europa League. This is not their caliber. It's like how Chelsea were playing in the Conference League, and it was a given that they have to win that competition. For Thiago Motta, he beat too much than he could chew, because he just went from Bologna to Juventus. That big leap was something massive in his career, and I don't think he learned the ins and outs of how a competition is won, how you win the league. I would say there was this feeling of young managers, the way Chelsea went for Enzo Maresca, the way Bayern came in for Company from Burnley, and the way Xabi Alonso was at Leverkusen. I think Juventus dipped their toes in a pond that they were not supposed to dip their toes in. I'm so happy that Fabregas did not move to Inter. He's still young. That will be his character assassination. He will have a Gary Neville type of moment, because he's moving from Como, a team that he helped promote, and then he's just had another full season with them at Serie A. And then if Fabregas happened to go to Inter Milan, this would have made him come on the list for managers who will lose their jobs. Another manager I think will lose their jobs eventually will be Massimiliano Allegri. If he doesn't do well with Milan, AC Milan, I think he just gets the axe. I don't see his style of play blending in perfectly with the players at AC Milan, but who am I to judge? These just projections and future prospects, who will be in their job, who will not be. And then Massimiliano Allegri has failed massively at Juventus. Even when he came back, he didn't put up the numbers that he used to do back then. So I don't think he manages to do it with AC Milan. He might have better players at AC Milan, but I don't think he will end up doing loads of things at AC Milan. If Bayern perform poorly, it might be the end of Company, but I highly doubt, because if they were able to take this risk and Company backed it up with winning the league, I pretty much think they will retain him, even if he has a bad season this coming season. But then we live to see, and we want to see what happens. Another person will be Xabi Alonso. If he ends up not producing a good enough season with Real Madrid, I know they will not hesitate asking him. It's common knowledge that the standards at Real Madrid are pretty high, and they were, I would say, respectful enough to Don Carlo to let him just join Brazil without sacking him, because he did not come up with any trophies this season. No UEFA, no La Liga, no Supercopa, and I can't remember the other trophy. But then you see the trend at the big clubs. If you don't put stable enough competition for the trophies, then and not come to be a cut above the rest, you have to go. That's the sad reality of the big teams. And I think final on my list on managers who might lose their jobs, Jose Mourinho. Why not include him in this video? Because he will be subject to scrutiny come next season by Fenerbahce. If he doesn't deliver, they will have him sacked. He's gone from the special one to the crying one in the Turkish league, and I feel bad for him, knowing what a legend he is. I don't want to see him getting sacked, getting sorry for himself, and waiting for another job. I hope that Mourinho doesn't get the axe. I would want him so badly to win the Turkish league. Fingers crossed everything goes well for him. But then, who do you think I left out in the video? And if you can, write them down in the comment section. Till next time,